I found out my dad had a secret family. Now I'm living with my half-brother, and neither of us know what to do with the truth. My name's Ethan. I'm 26 now, but this story starts 2 years ago, on my 24th birthday, the day my world cracked open. My dad was always present but distant. He worked a lot, finance, long hours, traveled constantly. But he never missed a birthday, and every Sunday he made pancakes. My mom used to joke that he was a ghost with good manners. He never talked much about his past. All I knew was that he grew up in Pennsylvania, met Mom in college, and moved to California when I was born. That's it. No siblings, no extended family visits. Just us three. Everything changed when I received a package on my 24th birthday. It wasn't from my parents. No return address. Inside was an old photo album and a letter. The album was full of pictures of my dad, but not with us. With another woman. And 2 kids. At first, I thought maybe it was a prank or mistake. But the handwriting in the letter was eerily familiar. It simply read: "You deserve to know the truth. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Your father isn't who you think he is. Ask him about Matthew." I stared at that name, Matthew. I didn't know a Matthew. But there was a boy in those photos who looked like me. Same sharp chin. Same crooked front tooth. I must have sat there for hours flipping through the album, my brain trying to deny what my eyes saw. When my parents came to my apartment that evening with cake and gifts, I couldn't even look at my dad. My hands were shaking as I handed him the letter and album. My mom asked what was going on. My dad went pale. Then he admitted it. He had a second family. Had. Past tense. He said he was married before he met my mom. They had 2 children. But he left them. He said it like he had misplaced keys, cold, distant, like it didn't matter. My mom screamed. I had never seen her like that. 30 years of marriage and she didn't know. She threw the cake on the ground and walked out. My dad tried to explain that it was a mistake, that he never stopped loving us, that he thought he could bury the past. But I couldn't even hear him. All I could hear was my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Over the next few weeks, everything unraveled. My mom moved out. I stopped answering my dad's calls. But I couldn't let it go. I needed to know. Who was this other family? What happened to them? I started digging. I found old records, Facebook profiles, even a blog that hadn't been updated in years. Eventually, I found him. Matthew. He was 28. Lived just a few hours away in Sacramento. He was an artist, did murals and graphic design. His Instagram was full of massive wall paintings and moody captions. I stared at his face for so long, I felt sick. He looked just like me, only older. Same eyes. Same smile. Same dad. I debated for weeks before sending a message. I wrote it a dozen times. Deleted it. Rewrote it. Finally, I just said, I think we might be related. My name is Ethan. I believe we share a father. I didn't expect a reply. But he wrote back the next day. I was wondering how long it would take for one of you to find me. That line shook me. We agreed to meet. Neutral ground, a coffee shop in a busy part of town. When I saw him in person, it was like looking into a warped mirror. We didn't say anything at first. Just stared. Then we talked. 4 hours. Turns out, he and his sister grew up thinking their dad died in a car accident. That's what their mom told them. But when Matthew was 19, he found out the truth, that his father had abandoned them and started a new family. He said he tried to reach out once, years ago, but got ignored. He never tried again. He hated our father. But weirdly, He didn't hate me. We had an unspoken understanding, we were both victims of the same lie. From there, everything snowballed. We met a few more times. We even visited our father, together. I'll never forget that day. My dad looked like he'd seen ghosts. He tried to play it cool, tried to act like we were just reconnecting. But Matthew confronted him. Laid out everything. Every missed birthday. Every lie. Every moment he cried as a child wondering why his dad didn't love him. My dad just sat there, silent. That was the last time Matthew spoke to him. I wish I could say it got better after that. But things just kept falling apart. My mother filed for divorce. My dad lost his job a few months later. I tried to keep my distance, but I felt so, stuck in the middle. Meanwhile, Matthew and I kept growing closer. We started hanging out, working on small projects together. I helped him with marketing for his art. He helped me with a web startup I was building. Somewhere along the way, we became more than just brothers, we became friends. Fast forward to now, we're living together in a rented loft. Two almost strangers, bound by blood and betrayal. We split rent, groceries, late-night whiskey. We talk about everything, girls, work, our screwed-up parents. We're trying to build something new from the ruins. We don't talk much about Dad anymore. But every so often, one of us will say something like, "Do you think he ever loved either of us?" And the other will shrug. Because we don't know. We probably never will. But we have each other now. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. My half-brother and I built a life together after our father's betrayal, but then his other secret came out. It's been about a year since Matthew and I moved in together. We've settled into a rhythm. We joke about being trauma roommates. He still paints murals, I'm freelancing in tech. On the surface, things seem normal, even good. But grief and betrayal don't just disappear. They echo. Some nights we drink too much and talk too long. Some mornings we pass each other in the kitchen like strangers. It's complicated. We share blood but not memories. We grew up with two completely different versions of the same man. And we're still trying to reconcile that. About 3 months ago, our father, David, emailed me. Just a subject line. Please talk to me. I didn't open it for days. Matthew told me to delete it. Said he didn't want to hear from him again, ever. But I couldn't help it. I was curious. Maybe part of me still wanted an explanation, something to make it all make sense. Inside was a short message. I'm sick. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just a chance to explain before it's too late. That one line opened the floodgates. I didn't tell Matthew right away. I knew how he'd react. I went to visit our dad alone. He was thinner. Pale. He looked older than he should, like guilt and illness had eaten away at him. He said he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. That it was terminal. That he didn't want to die with unfinished business. I failed both of you, he said. I thought I was protecting you from the worst parts of me. But I just made everything worse. I didn't know what to say. I just stared at him. Then he told me something that shattered me all over again. You have another sibling, he said. A half-sister. Her name is Emily. I laughed. Out loud. Because it was so ridiculous. So cruel. Another one. Another child he abandoned. This wasn't a secret family. This was a pattern. Emily, apparently, was the result of an affair he had during his marriage to my mom. She's 19. Lives in Oregon. Never met him. Doesn't even know who her real father is. Her mom never told her. She deserves to know, he said. But I can't do it. I don't have the right anymore. I want you to tell her. I told him no. I walked out. I didn't even look back. That night, I told Matthew everything. He lost it. He yelled. Punched a wall. Said he was done, with our father, with me, with all of it. Said he was sick of finding out about more betrayal, more lies. Said I should have never gone to see him. We didn't talk for a week after that. But silence doesn't last forever. And when we finally sat down to talk, something shifted. Do you want to find her? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, if she's anything like us, she probably thinks she's broken. That was all it took. We started looking for her. It took weeks, digging through public records, social media, old email addresses. Eventually, we found her Instagram. Emily. 19. Lives in Portland. Barista. Book nerd. Her posts were filled with quotes about loneliness and poems about not knowing where you come from. Matthew messaged her first. We debated what to say for hours. In the end, he went with honesty. This is going to sound insane, but we believe we might be your half-brothers. We can explain everything, if you're open to it. She didn't respond for 3 days. Then, finally. Who are you? That opened the door. We told her everything. About David, about us, about the photos, the lies, the cancer. She was stunned. Hurt. Angry. But not surprised. Turns out she always suspected her mom wasn't telling the full truth. After a week of messaging back and forth, she agreed to meet us. Matthew and I drove up to Portland in silence. We were both terrified. What if she hated us? What if we were just reminders of a man who abandoned her? We met her in a park, neutral, public, safe. She looked like our dad. Same eyebrows. Same expression when she was nervous. She cried when she saw us. We talked for 5 hours straight. About childhood. About the holes in her life. About ours. It was surreal, like finding a puzzle piece you didn't know was missing. Emily was cautious. Guarded. But curious. She asked questions. Lots of them. Did he ever love anyone? What was he like when you were little? Why would he do this? We didn't have answers. Only pieces. Before we left, she said something I'll never forget. Thank you for finding me. Even if it hurts. At least now I know I wasn't crazy for feeling like something was missing. We've stayed in touch since. She's still unsure about meeting our father. Honestly, I can't blame her. He's a shadow to all of us now, a man we're all connected to, but none of us really know. David passed away last week. I got a call from the hospice nurse. No funeral, no final words. Just a note he left behind, addressed to all 3 of us. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I only hope you can be better siblings than I was a father. You deserved more. I'm sorry. That was it. No excuses. No explanations. Just one last failed attempt at redemption. We read the letter together, me, Matthew, and Emily, sitting on our apartment floor, passing whiskey and memories. We still don't know what to do with all of it. The hurt. The confusion. The strange, tangled bond we share. But we've decided one thing. We're keeping each other. We've talked about moving. Maybe to Oregon, maybe somewhere new. A fresh start. A place where we're not just the children of a man who disappeared. Some nights I wonder how different our lives could have been if he'd just stayed. If he'd told the truth. If he'd tried. But mostly, I think about what we have now. 3 broken kids, rebuilding a family from scratch. And somehow, against all odds, it feels whole. After our father's death, my half-siblings and I tried to move on, but grief has a way of catching up. It's been 5 months since David, our father, died. You'd think that would be the end of the story. But it wasn't. Grief doesn't tie things up neatly. It lingers. It sneaks up on you while you're brushing your teeth or walking home or watching a dumb commercial that reminds you of something he once said. After the funeral, which, for the record, was just the 3 of us and a box of ashes, we made a decision: we were leaving California. None of us had strong roots there anymore. My mom had moved to Florida to be closer to her sister. Matthew was freelancing full-time and could work from anywhere. Emily had just quit her job at a cafe in Portland. We figured, why not start over together? So we rented a small house near Bend, Oregon. Quiet town, surrounded by mountains and lakes. It wasn't glamorous, but it was peaceful. We didn't really know what we were doing. 3 strangers turned siblings, trying to build something resembling a family. We had fights about dumb things, like dishes and groceries and who left the porch light on. But we also had long nights of talking, laughing, crying. One night, we got drunk on cheap wine and played old 90s board games we found in the attic. Emily looked up mid-game and said, "Do you think if he could see us now, he'd be proud?" Matthew didn't hesitate. No. But maybe that's the point. We were trying to build a life in spite of him, not because of him. But healing isn't linear. One afternoon, while Emily and I were cleaning out boxes in the garage, we found another envelope. Yellowed, taped shut, marked with her name. It was from her mother, written years ago, never given. She stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside was a letter. "I didn't tell you who your father was because I didn't want you to feel abandoned. I thought pretending he was nobody would hurt less than knowing he chose to leave. I'm sorry I didn't trust you with the truth. You deserved it." Emily broke down. Right there, on the dusty concrete floor. That night, she told us she was considering going back to Portland. Said she needed space. Time. That being with us, as much as she loved us, made her feel like she was standing in someone else's story. We begged her to stay. We told her this was her story too. But she needed to go. And we had to let her. Watching her leave felt like losing a part of our newly rebuilt foundation. The house was quieter. Colder. Matthew started pulling away, too. He threw himself into painting. Stayed out late working on murals in town. He started smoking again, even though he promised he wouldn't. He didn't talk about Dad anymore. Didn't talk about Emily. Didn't talk much at all. One night, I came home and found him staring at an unfinished painting, huge canvas, just streaks of black and red. "I don't know who I am without the anger," he said. I didn't know what to say. Because I felt it too. When someone you love betrays you, and then dies, you don't get closure. You get noise. Questions with no answers. Memories you don't know if you can trust. I tried therapy. Once. The therapist asked me what I wanted to feel. I said, anything but this. She smiled like she understood, but I don't think anyone truly can unless they've lived it. Then, about a month ago, Emily came back. She didn't call. She just showed up with a suitcase and a box of pastries. "I missed you idiots," she said, and hugged us both so hard we almost fell over. She'd been staying with a friend. Working at a bookstore. Writing, a lot. She showed us a journal full of poems and short stories about broken families and found ones. She was different. Softer, somehow. Calmer. Still angry, she said. Just, not letting it win anymore. That hit me like a punch to the chest. Since then, things have been slowly, getting better. We've started having family nights once a week. No phones, no distractions. Just food, music, and each other. We've started talking more, about the past, the future, what we want from this bizarre siblinghood we stumbled into. We even adopted a dog. A rescue named Orbit with one ear and a serious attitude problem. He fits in perfectly. I won't pretend we've magically healed. Some nights I still wake up feeling like I'm drowning in everything we didn't get. The birthdays without each other, the questions we'll never get to ask, the apologies we never heard. But here's what I do know. We chose each other. David may have brought us into this world, but we're the ones who made this family real. We're not perfect. But we're trying. And sometimes, trying is enough. Last weekend, we went hiking, all three of us and Orbit, up into the mountains. At the top, there was this huge view of the valley below. Emily sat down next to me and said, "Maybe we didn't get the childhood we deserved. But that doesn't mean we can't give each other something better now." I nodded. Because she's right. This isn't the ending we expected. But it's a beginning we earned. I thought we were finally okay, until I found a letter meant for Matthew that changed everything again. Life had finally settled. Emily was back. Matthew was painting again, even smiling more. Orbit stopped chewing on furniture. We laughed more often. Cooked dinner together. Told inside jokes that made no sense to anyone else. Then I found the letter. It was tucked into one of Dad's old boxes that I hadn't gone through. Honestly, I thought I had burned everything. But this one was hidden inside a sketchbook, the one Matthew had taken from our father's apartment before we left. It was addressed to Matthew, but never sent. Dated 2 years before Dad died. Curious, I read it. And I wish I hadn't. Matthew. I think about you every day. I know I don't deserve to. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I want to explain. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I didn't know how to love without ruining everything. Your mother and I, we were toxic. And I was weak. But you were the one thing I ever got right. I hope you become something beautiful. I hope one day, you'll understand. Dad. It was simple. It was raw. It was too late. But for Matthew, it might have meant everything. I didn't tell him I found it. I couldn't. Not right away. I didn't know if he even wanted to read something like that. I wrestled with it for days. Then Emily found it. Saw me holding it in the garage one night. You have to give it to him, she said. I nodded. But when I finally did, when I handed Matthew that yellowed paper, something changed in his face. He didn't cry. He didn't get angry. He just looked tired. He folded the letter, put it in his back pocket, and said, I spent 10 years building a life from the lie that he didn't care. If I believe this now, what happens to everything I felt? That question has haunted me. Sometimes pain becomes part of who you are. Letting go of it feels like letting go of a part of yourself. We haven't talked about the letter since. But yesterday, I saw Matthew painting something new, not in black or red. It was soft. Blue. Bright. There were 3 figures and a crooked house on a hill. He didn't explain what it meant. He didn't have to. We're all still healing. But maybe this is how it begins. Again.